far as I'm concerned, they ought to be decorated, not criticized. We kept the country safe from any more mass casualty attacks. It was the right thing to do, and if I had to do it over again, I would do it. As for the timing of this report, Colonel Ralph Peters says that helps no one but our enemies.
Doing it at this time, Sean, amounts to nothing less than providing aid and comfort to the enemy. There is no practical value, practical utility, practical advantage gained by releasing this report. The only people that gain are the terrorists who can now rev up the propaganda machine again.
All right, Bully, I'm going to bring you in on this.
Okay, so give me a second here. So I heard all the rundown. I heard at 3 o'clock all about what they used to enhance, interrogate. What?
I'm the little kid with you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You cut me off. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I heard all about the techniques that they use in enhanced interrogation. I heard too much of it, to be honest with you. Here's what we do know. The CIA briefed Congress 30 times. The briefings were detailed and graphic and drew reactions that ranged from approval to no objection. In September of 2006, the administration decided to brief full committee and staff directors. There was no consensus, which means proceed. Senator John D. Rockefeller, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, he's in safekeeping under American protection. He'll be grilled by us. I'm sure we'll be proper with him, but I'm sure we'll be very, very tough on him. That aside, now, what happened? So the CIA interrogated Abu Zubaydah, who led us to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who turned around and called people or contacted people in the dark zones, in the dark areas, and said, be careful who you talk to and what you say. That turned over al-Kuwaiti. Al-Kuwaiti happened to be bin Laden's courier. We followed al-Kuwaiti to Islamabad, where we found bin Laden. Here's the point. If President Obama wants to take a victory lap for getting bin Laden, he better realize that it all came from enhanced interrogation by the CIA. Don't go and say GM is alive, but bin Laden's dead without giving a hat tip to the CIA interrogation.
That's what led to Abbottabad. Okay, go ahead.
Well, first of all, the thing that struck me about this is that George Bush did not hear about these actions until 2006. When he did, his reaction was fairly negative about it. It also was clear that they did not follow the guidelines of their own Justice Department. The CIA went outside the bounds of that. And the fact of the matter is, if we do this sort of thing, and if we stand for anything in this world, it stands for justice and following the rule of law. And these guys went way outside the bounds of it, beyond what the President of the United States thought was doing. I'm not surprised about Dick Cheney. He'd do about anything. But in this case, I think that even George Bush did not know what was going on here. And I think he did not like it.
Dick Cheney would do what is lawfully approved, which this was, and there were plenty of investigations and no criminal charges filed.
No.
He would do what it takes to protect this country, because all the rest of us are sitting around this table enjoying the benefits of not having another mass casualty attack in the United States, since they were able to garner this very important intelligence.
Because of these torture techniques, you think that's the reason? And there's absolutely no proof.
I didn't say it was a direct cause.
No,
but it certainly played in.
There's supposition. The FBI doesn't agree with that.
I think that this report has to be taken with a huge grain of salt. They did not talk to anybody that was actually in the program. Not a single interrogator talked to them for the report. So I am not willing to say that this report is actually the end-all, be-all, the comprehensive report that they're trying to make it out to be. I would point people to a report, a 39-page document, and the reason I say 39 pages is because it struck me. It is thorough and thought out by a guy named Jason Beal. That's a pseudonym that he uses. He was an interrogator. And if you go to the weeklystandard.com website, Stephen Hayes both talks to him and it puts up the entire 39 pages that walks you through from an interrogator standpoint. And if you care about this issue at all, and you want to believe the Senate Democrats, I think that you are under an obligation to read somebody like John Beal's work as well. I did today, and I was persuaded by it. Imagine if the Democrats were so disturbed by law-breaking behavior by government employees at a place like, say, the IRS. I mean, imagine the kinds of things that we might be able to find out that are happening to Americans, not to terrorists. What is more infuriating? 9/11 attacks and the atrocities brought by over and over again by radicalized terrorists, or the interrogations that our
I
CIA
started
sought to
and
do in order
stopped
to
the
protect us.
attacks
All
to
right,
get rid of the
let's
last
bring in some sound of
offenders
Charles Kracker
since
said
my
some more
air's
on.
week.
When you hear
And
the
I
president's
used
spokesman say
3
that they know that it
evacs,
could endanger Americans,
vanquishers.
you ask yourself,
I could have used
why
just
would the
one
president insist on
if
the
I
release
had
of this,
full health
knowing that it could harm,
air.
would lead to
Just
the
showing you,
death
buddy.
of
Hope it helps.
Americans serving under him as commander-in-chief?
Exactly. Why are you releasing information if it's going to hurt Americans? And I think that why do we have notes at all? Why are there notes from this? Why is there stuff to release? These are supposed to be black sites. I don't know if
that are happening to Americans, not to terrorists. What is more infuriating, 9/11 attacks and the atrocities brought by over and over again by radicalized terrorists, or the interrogations that our CIA sought to do in order to protect us?
All right, let's bring in some sound of Charles Kracker to shed some more light on this.
When you hear the president's spokesman say that they know that it could endanger Americans, you ask yourself, why would the president insist on the release of this, knowing that it could harm, would lead to the death of Americans serving under him as commander-in-chief?
Exactly. Why are you releasing information if it's going to hurt Americans?